This requires special skill to take bottle into your nose and wet your nose. Doing that. Coming from, I have not lived full time in India since 1979. Long time. However, I will tell you, I have remained very deeply involved with India. Of course, I have a lot of family members here. I have deep roots in India. It's very interesting that in some ways to truly discover how Indian I am and continue to be. My accent, by the way, I won't apologize for it. I'm very American because I've lived time. But deep inside, my intellectual roots, my identity is very much that of an Indian. What's very interesting is leave India to discover how Indian I am and how Indian I have become over time. I'm speaking to you very much as someone who has been going on what the futures will be. Sympathetic insider, outsider, and an insider. I was on the board of Infosys for many years. I'm one of the co-founders of Indian School of Business. I've remained involved with Indian industry 73 to 70. Some family members staying on in Ahmedabad, my sister and brother-in-law used to live here. So my intellectual mentor, his name, was my professor at IIM. He died in the early 2000s. I was linked with him pretty much from the time. And indeed, his widow, Nalini Ben, still lives in Azad Society. I'll probably go visit her tomorrow morning. So I have very deep roots here. And I'm very happy to come back. I love from my hotel room, by the way, looking at the Sabarmati River. All the years I was dry riverbed. This is a very good example of what can be done. The riverfront in Ahmedabad today looks like the European city. All these, Paris, whether it is Amsterdam, whether it is Frankfurt, all the main cities have riverbeds like this, and it can be a piece of art. This is what our consciousness needs to be raised up to, and our current Prime Minister Narendra Modi is actually the guy who got this done. So it's possible. We can take India to a higher level. So I'm a sympathetic insider, outsider. I'm also someone who has actually studied India deeply. I have written a book about it. I have written several. I've actually written more than one book. So I'm well attuned, well informed about what's happening in India. And by the way, where I'm coming from, this is thought about, but I'm very rooted in the Indian Hindu tradition. This is different than the Hindu religious tradition. I have great respect for rituals and but I have even deeper respect for the spiritual tradition. I assume that in the audience are not only Hindus but Jains, Buddhists, Muslims. What is remarkable is that the Hindu spiritual tradition is actually complete. It's not that. What is truly remarkable about the old Indian, the Hindu spiritual tradition is that when it the word Gnosticism, non-believers, one of the very legitimate was Gnostic. first thought is an equally valid, legitimate. If you don't, so that's coming from. And frankly, in my opinion, that's the older tradition that India needs to return to, in which Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, all of the, there is only one God, and basically pursue. But the reason I mention this is the ultimate arbiter of what is true is your experience. This is the deep spiritual tradition. This is fun. The ultimate arbiter of the truth is your experience. So where I'm coming from is my lived experience. Is not just the ideas that I learned from somewhere, whether it was in India or America or elsewhere. These are ideas that I have seen in life. Let me move to point number two. What has India done between 47 and 15? And three. You have to do periods. One is the period prior to 1991. One is the period after 1991. I am, you must understand, intellectual. I do not have affiliations. I am neither pro one party nor am I. That's what I have to believe. We don't have time for a political debate. If we had more time, we could have done that. The pre-91 period, this is, I'm painting with a very broad brush, quite a period of missed opportunities, even failure. I remember when I was growing up, I grew up in the north until 73, living in Lucknow. I was born in Lucknow. I was very fortunate years when I did the best of what India had to offer. Then I ended up going to the West and got the best of what America has to offer. And I consider it for that reason. The years in 1991 were largely a period of missed opportunities. Very broadly, I think the early years up until the mid 1960s. Pandit Nehru was actually trying to put in place certain key institutions. There were some good things that Ours is 1,500 Singapore be today. 50,000, roughly 40 times, 50 times, 30 times at least. This has happened over the last 50 years. And they are not quite at the same level as Singapore. They are about 30,000. They are 30 times where India is. So, there's a story told, you must have heard of John Maynard Keynes, Lord Keynes. Someone asked him, he was already Lord Keynes, said, Lord Keynes, how is Lady Keynes, how is your wife? And compared with whose wife, right? The point is, that this is sort of meant as a funny byline, but the point is, you cannot just evaluate and ask how is India doing is the question. Well, but when you compare with countries that are at a similar level, then take a 50-year horizon and then ask how it can be done. Very poorly, very poorly. I don't know if this is still true today, but when I was growing up, when I was your age, there was always a headline in the newspaper. Of India, and it's also hidden hand of Western powers. You know what? I have lived in the West now for many years. Well, if you were in India, you basically spend a lot of time in New Delhi. The euphemistic but an activity aimed at creating value, it created all kinds of corruption. These have evolved in the old regime before 1991. It would be hard to get rid of. What science is a long kind of cultural norms get institutionalized in any society, in any economy, in any organization. They are very, very difficult to change. As long as there is some period of time in which people spread India, the economy, the society, those years 65 to 1991, it's the wrong norms that got institutionalized. And this will take probably to work out. That's the real obstacle to change. Narendra Modi, I think, has exactly the much that I admire in what he's trying to do. Although of late what I'm hearing is he's facing a lot of difficulty from the in India as a you know what that means. There's bunches of ministries and administrative services officers. It's the corruption hierarchy. This will be very difficult to deal with. Business, on the other hand, and I don't say this only because I'm a person who studies the business world, I think there is much credit that needs to be given to business leaders. They have actually transformed their organizations in the year 91, and many Indian companies have become world class. The Indian government and the administrative architecture is very far from world class. Very, very far. I say it based on direct the work that I've seen. Probably the best bureaucratic leadership, the best administrative leadership, even compared to much higher quality, is in Singapore. Some of the best in the world. And when we compare with them, we are nowhere. Should get out of the way. Surely, in a country of 1.3 billion people, no one in their right mind that the only family that has the DNA to run the country is one instance. If we produced the Gandhis and the Vallabhbhai Patels, even as we produced the Nehrus, surely there are tens of thousands of people who can be, you know. Let's open it up. This is not a monarchy, and it's about is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who himself says very openly, and I'm proud of him saying that he used to be a chaiwala, right? Now he's Prime Minister of India. That's wonderful. As long as he has the capability, as long as he shows results, this is what democracy is about. So the political logjams need to be cleared up, and people need to become clear about what's their agenda. Are you serving a family agenda? Are you serving the agenda of what's good for the people? And the results will be clear. One of the nice things about it. Many of you, are you voting age? Raise your hands. Are you above voting age? Very good. Go out and vote. 100% of you should vote. If you're not registered, make sure you vote next time. This is what a democracy is about. The main challenges I want to turn around. One of these, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. Forgive me, it's getting very hard. Maybe I'm just getting more and more impassioned, and that's eating me up. One of the biggest challenges that we have is the education system. Why is that? Well, if you want to have a productive economy, you really need, see if you can put on something. If you want to have people, generation after generation after generation, of high quality who are employable right away, and we are nowhere there. Someone whom I know quite there's a company called Team Lease. Actually, they're supposed to go public today, I think, in Bombay. Team Lease is the largest temporary staffing organization in India. There's a wonderful man named Manish Sabharwal, who is actually running the company. And one of the reasons this company has done so well is that many graduates come out of all kinds of institutions in India, but they are not ready for employment. The firms that are employing them find that they are not job ready. This is a problem. This is a problem. If we're going to continue to grow the economy at 7, 8, 9, 10%, we need literally tens of millions of people every year, and we don't have the right people. You might ask, why is that the case? It's not a problem with the people. It's not a problem with generations like yours. It's a problem that our university system has really challenges that it should live up to. Let me make a series of 4 points related to this. Here are the questions that I will try to answer. How do our best institutions in India measure up to some global benchmarks? Number 2, are they really world class, or are even some of our institutions world class? Number 3, how can we get better? What is required? And number 3, how can we get better? And number 4, what is needed as the next steps in the education sector? And I'll give you a few thoughts on each one. I'm a sympathetic guy. I'm just going to say things which might sound like bad news. But the be able to see a doctor, and the doctor has expertise in medicine, that's why he goes to the doctor. Should not tell you only what you want to hear. You know, you've got, let's say, advanced Our best institutions are across different fields. There are the institutes of technology, the engineering schools, there are the science schools. Arguably, it's the international rankings. By the way, say argument, or they are biased against Indian institutions. Not true. The news that it gives, you can't then start saying, it's a little bit like saying, someone says, I'm actually 7 feet tall, right? When he's not, or she's not. And then you say, all right, you stand next to the wall, we measure you, and you measure them, and they're only 5 feet 2 inches tall. They say, no, there's something wrong with your scale. This is a rigged. It's not the case. These are objective criteria. All institutions are measured like that. We don't measure. The highest ranked institution in India is Bangalore, Indian Institute of Science. Even that does not come in the top 100 in the world. The Indian Institutes of Technology are kind of next in line. They're up there. They're ISC, I think, probably broken to the top 100. This year was number 9. And there are some IITs, IIT Delhi is one of them. That my institution is only number 1 in Asia, it's number 1 in all Asia Pacific. But that's sort of a high quality institution which I inherited. I'm trying to build it further. They're doing quite well at the HKUST Business School. The IIMs things that came out actually 10 days ago. IIM Ahmedabad, one of the Financial Times Global MBA rankings, it's the TGPX program, I think. That's ranked number 24 in the world. HKUST last 3 years has been number 14 in the world, was as high as number 6 in the world. IIM Bangalore is a little bit below, Indian School of Business is a little bit below, but even so, these institutions need to be much higher up. The one problem that these institutions have, even the best of them, they have become over time primarily teaching institutions. They are consumers of knowledge. And North America, which is the US and Canada, and look at business schools. HKUST Business School outside North America is number 2 in the rest of the world. There's only INSEAD, HKUST Business School, London Business School is below us. This is the thing where the IIMs are not even in the top 100. We are very deep on the research. It would be a mistake but I'm telling you the truth. It is largely the responsibility of the government for which we are today. And the problem really is this, that you may have read from time to time, you are too young to be worrying about it, but you may have read this in the paper. Great controversy apparently around the IIM bill going around in Delhi. As I thought, you're too young to be worrying about this. So there is a bill which is apparently not being brought to Parliament for hearings or to be passed because there's a lot of controversy around it. The gist of it, the issue beneath the bill, let's forget about the bill. The issue is the government wants to exercise more and more control over the IIMs. And the argument is, we gave you money when you started. The IIMs, I don't believe, are receiving money anymore from the government. That stopped some years ago. But the government still wants control. I think this is wrong-headed. It's a move in the wrong direction. The point is that what you want from the institutions is accountability, right? accountability is someone sitting in business. They have to be controlled. Accountability is a control by the wrong people who may have qualified. Interestingly, if you think about Hong Kong and Singapore, both small city states, but by the way, each one, Singapore and Hong Kong, in fact, has at least 3 universities in the top 100 in the world. What's the size of Singapore? 5 million people. I think Ahmedabad probably is bigger than 5 million people already. What's the size of Hong Kong? 8 million people. I suspect Ahmedabad might be up there around 8 million. 8 million is smaller than that. And they have 3 world-class universities in the top 100. India with a population of 1.3 billion, we don't have even one maybe top 100. So the issue is accountability, and by the way, country you could give billions with a B, right? Not M, B. Billions of dollars to the universities, and they say, we want no control over you. We want you to be governed by your board. So the reason why these institutions have done so well is because the government is taking the right approach. And the reason why even the IIMs, which are quite good, the best that we have in India, that if these changes take place with even more control, they will actually go down further because government's thinking in the wrong direction. So are we really world class? Why do you still keep hearing that, oh, look at the IIMs, and everyone lines up for our graduates and they're in such high demand. And you always in the newspaper that someone made so many crores as their initial salary. Well, you have to be careful about this, and there's a little bit of an intricate argument here. I urge you to bear with me. I'm sure you'll understand it. Whom I actually got to meet personally a few times. Michael Spence was the former dean of the business school at Stanford. He got the Nobel Prize in economics. He used to be at Harvard, then got the Nobel Prize, and I think moved later to be dean of Stanford Business School. He's now at NYU. He has retired from Stanford. He's at New York University at the Stern School. In Hong Kong a year ago. Michael Spence wrote a very interesting book, which basically makes the following argument, and his Nobel Prize was partly about this. Educational institutions sometimes serve a very important screening and signaling function. And that is a value. The IIMs and the IITs in many ways essentially have become very important screening and signaling mechanisms. The very fact that you get into an IIT after this horrendously competitive search process, the very fact that after the IIT, in my time, 70–80% of my class was IIT graduates. I was one of the few that went straight after a BSc. And so I finished very, very quickly. In my time, basically the IIM process was even more tough because you were first screened by the IIT, you got a degree, 80% of them ended up in the applicant pool for the IIM, you got screened again and you took the very top. It's essentially the selection of the people that are coming in that makes them as high quality as they are. And I would tell you, the most class part of actually the extreme argument, and I say this very carefully. I was one of the people I think it was in the 90s, I introduced George Bank from London. I used to know the person who then went on to become CEO and Jain. And they were looking for people from India. I introduced them to IIM Ahmedabad. That was part of the move where all the major companies across the world started to come to the IIM and started recruiting the students. The attitude is, look, if we come to the IIM job offers versus going to Harvard and our other competitors. Here the best pay. We make the offer if you're McKinsey, if you're an investment bank like Goldman Sachs, you make an offer, you will get people take the service was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. It used to be a nightmare. It used to be a nightmare to travel on the airline. They were never on time. People were rude. All kinds of nonsense. And then someone had the right idea. Let's open up the airline industry and let's introduce competition. And arguments were endless. The arguments from Indian Airlines were endless. Oh, you cannot do this. We are serving the public good. 100 different arguments why this was the wrong thing to do. Eventually, the legislation as it started, new airlines were not permitted to come in, but it was the proverbial camel's nose under the tent. What was the way they came in? They could start as air taxi operations. You remember that? Air taxi operations. What the hell is an air taxi? Well, you're an airline, but we won't really call you an airline. You're an air taxi. What are the restrictions on an air taxi? You can't fly above a certain altitude. You have to fly, I think it was below 25,000 feet. And you think about it, what the bloody hell is going on? This was because Indian Airlines did not want competition. They wanted to sit there as monopoly rent earners, abuse their passengers, charge whatever the hell they wanted to charge, and they didn't want competition. So first it was altitude. By the way, if you fly higher up, you get better fuel efficiency. Lower down, the ride is more bumpy, so they wanted to show, all right, so you've got these air taxi guys, but we are much better, our flight is much cooler. Of course, you're flying higher. Your operations will be more efficient, you get better fuel efficiency. They tried that. When that didn't work, they said, oh, you cannot permit them to hire pilots or crew away or cabin crew away from Indian Airlines. Got legislation through. So you get competition, but we won't let you compete. By the way, you can't advertise your schedules in the newspapers. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. Why am I telling you this? Whatever is the status quo in the education sector today, there's a lovely phrase in Latin called qui bono. Qui bono basically. So this is if you remember only my speech today, this you want to make a note of. Anything that you see anywhere in the world around you, you always should ask, who benefits? Qui bono. Who benefits from the status quo? Now, whether you can actually show that person's hand behind things or you cannot, there is no question but that those that benefit from the status quo, they are involved in maintaining the status quo. It will be in the dark of night, payments made above the table, below the table, whatever efforts they are making, even if you can't see it, they are behind maintaining the status quo. So I want to just leave the education sector to you ask cui bono, who benefits from the education sector being like the way it is, right? This university example, it's a new idea. A set of enlightened leaders were saying, we're going to create, but who benefits from the university system being, ask yourself, are they businesses? Are there certain politicians who are actually in the education business? Are there certain institutions who don't want competition? They're the ones that are benefiting from the status quo. It's very clear that to the extent the Indian educational entire establishment cannot deliver on the challenge of getting those tens of millions of employable grads in the world, the people are not benefiting, the country is not benefiting. Someone else is benefiting. That's what needs to change. And what is needed, in my view, I think Ahmedabad University is a wonderful example. That's why I took a day and said, Pankaj is an old friend. I said, I'll come to Ahmedabad for a day. I will give a talk to your students. I want to share my ideas. And the reason I'm doing this is because experiments like this are exactly the right kind of experiment. This is what needs to be done. If I were to give you my prognosis for the future, 25 years from now, it is very possible that it will be a completely new set of institutions that will be the leaders, not the existing set of institutions. Because remember, natural norms once established are almost impossible to change. The existing university system will be very hard to change. And we need to create new universities coming. There's a pending bill in Parliament for many, many years called the Foreign Universities Act. Again, who benefit? You can do it. It requires a lot of, it doesn't sit down and say, who benefits from the status quo? You know, when it said we are going to open up the economy, there was a known as the Bombay Club. My very good friend I haven't seen Bajaj automobiles. That was a great chances to compete with the best in the world, right? I remember going to Stanford. I have to tell you this personal story. Fall of 1979. It was a great period for me. I had just been admitted with full fellowships to Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Wharton, all the places that I wanted to go to. I ended up going to Stanford. And I looked around me, everyone was Princeton graduate, Harvard graduate, Yale graduate, Penn graduate, Stanford graduate. I said, my God, I've gone and done it. I should have stayed at home. I'm going to fail now. So, I was already in America and California. I bought a one-way ticket. I said, I'm not going back home like this. Since I'm here, I may as well work really hard and see, is it true that I'm going to fail? Maybe it's not true, right? And so I worked my butt off, as we say in America. I worked really hard. End of one term, I found I had A's in everything. Okay, maybe I'm as good as anyone else over here. And I just thought to myself, all these young men and women around me, I was the first Indian in that program, first person from Ahmedabad. I said, if they're going to graduate, I'm going to graduate as well. I have no idea how I'll do it, but if they're going to do it, I'll do it too. So, this is very important for you to listen carefully. You have to be able to imagine that it is possible. If you cannot imagine it, it is never going to happen. It's only in Hindi movies that things fall into your lap straight out of heaven. Doesn't happen in the real world. If you can imagine it, it can happen. It might happen. If you cannot imagine it, it's never going to happen. So the real challenge that all of you face, that I faced 10 years ago, is I could not imagine it. That's why my title is Reimagining India, Reimagining Your Future. All right, show your hand. You love cricket? Good, good. You're a good Indian. You love cricket. I love cricket too. And yes, Kohli is a great player. Remember the Indian cricket team? They've got this. In our time, in the 1960s and 70s, we used to go and then started falling, as we would say in Hindi, line lag jati thi. One fell, boom, 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 everyone's gone. No confidence. No belief in important to it. There was a reason to not have the confidence. We did not have the exposure. We never used to go and play in England in the summertime. Couldn't play on green pitches. We didn't. Couldn't. Someone like Tendulkar came up, Sehwag came up. We started to see role models. IPL started some years back. Of course, they had their own scandal, but IPL did a wonderful thing. All these best players from the world would come to India. You would get to play with them. Realize these are not guys from another. Human capability. There is another key, like the click-on of human capabilities translated into capability. You have to be in context which will demand a lot from you. That doubt in your mind like above a certain level. You go to Stanford, everyone's sort of brilliance is cheap actually, not to. The true leaders are those that actually have heart, who listen to their heart. And rather than give you answers, it means to lead from the heart as opposed to from the mind. Ponder that. With that, I would say, go forth. The world is thank you.
I don't have a task now, but just a couple of questions.